Hello eyeshadow lovers, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. So for those of you who haven't been here before, my name is Sneha and I do everything eyeshadow, eye makeup related. So I do reviews of palettes, swatches, hauls, I do kind of get ready with me's, palette reviews, like anything you could think of eyeshadow palette related, I do here. So welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about the Sydney Grace x Temptalia collection. So I purchased these palettes during Black Friday, and I talked about these in a separate video talking about my Black Friday purchases, but I didn't really go into depth. That video is linked in the description box, by the way, so if you want to see what I said about them in that video and see what else I bought for Black Friday, that's the good video to watch. But today I'm going to be talking about my rearrangement of the Sydney Grace x Temptalia palettes. So for people who don't know about this collection, this is a collection that Sydney Grace released, I think in October, and basically it's a collection of 6 palettes. She has 3 palettes in deep skin tone color, so a couple of the mattes in each of the palettes are switched out for deep skin tone mattes. And then she has a light version, which is a collection of 3 palettes that have lighter mattes in them. So I only have 3 of them, and I have all 3 of the deep ones. So for context, I purchased these palettes on a really good sale, but when I first looked at them online, I wasn't super inspired by the color story or anything because they all kind of look the same. So I'm gonna have up pictures of the original palettes as I do this so that you can compare. But what I decided to do was, I was thinking to myself, like, everyone raves about Sydney Grace quality, and everyone says that she has really great quality eyeshadows, so I really wanted to try her products, but I didn't want to pay a ton for singles or anything like that, so I thought I would pick up these palettes and then depot them and rearrange them so that I could feel more inspired and just like work better with the palettes. Because as they were just kind of like this jumbled mess. They all sort of looked the exact same, as you can see, like all of them kind of have greens, pinks, and blues in varying quantities and textures. So yeah. So I decided I was going to depot these, rearrange them, and I turned them into these kind of monochromatic palettes. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you my version of the palette compared to the version of the palette before. And just as a disclaimer, when I did this, I didn't really like pay attention to the palette names. I just sort of took out all of the shadows and then just rearranged them back into random palettes. So it's not like oh, Quintessence, the Sydney Grace version is somehow inspiring my version of the palette or anything like that. Like, I didn't try to keep the shades the same or anything like that. I just sort of emptied out all the palettes and then put all the shades back in sort of randomly. But I will be doing comparisons of like, this is the old Quintessence and this is the new Quintessence. So let's get started. I'm going to show you the palette, and I'm going to show you the before and then the after, and then I'm going to do swatches of each of the palettes that I created. Just so you can see, and yeah, I might also show you if I can find a good picture of the swatches of the palette as Sydney Grace arranged them, I might include that as well, but if there's not a good picture, then I'll just show you my swatches, and then I'll do kind of like an impressions sort of chat with you guys. So let's start with this one. This is called On the Horizon. So this is a picture of the palette before I rearranged it. So that's what it looked like before. And this is my rearrangement of it. I turned this into a more neutral palette. So I put all the pink tones in this, as well as some mattes. And this is sort of like a blush, like pinkish, neutral palette. So this is my rearrangement of the palette. These are all the tones. I kept these like gold orange tones in here with the brown matte and the orange matte, so you could go kind of more gold brown, like very neutral. There are pinks in here, so you could kind of go more pink with the look. So I really tried to create this into a good neutral palette that I would use. And this is something that I would totally use. I like pink tones, I like brown, like gold tones. So this is kind of like a everyday palette. Okay, so now I'm going to do the swatches. So the first shade in here, actually, I'm not even going to use the shade names because that's like a waste of time. So I'm just going to do the first row up here first. So I'm going to start with this like mauve brown color. I'm just going to do them right here. So that's that. And then I'm going to do, this is like a pink shimmer. It's really good quality. Wow, that is so beautiful. Like, wow, I can't. So I talked about this a little bit in my Black Friday video, maybe, or maybe it was my introduction video, but swatch videos on YouTube can often be very misleading. So I try to do just like one swipe with my finger on dry skin without any like foundation or primer or anything like that, instead of just like going over it multiple times, because I really want to see like, is this, you know, high quality? Is this buildable? Like, you know, what is the deal with this product without any like embellishment or like extra lighting? So this is just in natural lighting. Okay, this is like a beautiful like pink orangey shift. Okay, and this is the gold. Ooh, that is one of the best golds I think I now have in my collection. Like, wow, that is honestly amazing. It's super reflective. Also, sorry, I'm like fiddling with my makeup wipes right now to wipe off my hands so I can do more swatches for you guys. So, okay, this gold is just stunning. Like, look at this. Wow. Okay, it's super reflective. Like, all of these, when you touch them, are super buttery, like very, very reflective, very easy to apply, like, and they seem like they work better with the finger too. Like, this is all finger swatches and they look really good. Sorry, I'm gonna like darken this up. I know I said I wouldn't, but like you saw, so it didn't really like swatch the full way. Even as I'm darkening it up, it's like not going down the full way. So this like first purple matte here is the one I'm sort of having trouble with. It seems buildable, but it's not like very, it's not really like lasting very long. So yeah, that could be a problem. Okay, so continuing on the first row, we have this, I kept this like silver shimmer in here. I don't know why, like I just kind of thought it would go with this. And I really like it now that I'm like looking at it next to the other shades. I think it's such a good like inner corner color, such a good like, I don't know, just such a like little pop addition to this palette, and I really like it. Okay, so continuing on, this is the last shade in the first row. It's like another pink shimmer. Okay, and I don't know if you can see the difference, but this one's more of like a dark pink shimmer, and this one's more of like a hot pink shimmer. They look sort of the same on camera, but yeah, okay. So this is the first row of my palette. So we just did this top row right here, and now I'm gonna do the bottom row, which is more of like the darker orangey, more like red pink vibes. Okay, so the first shade down here is actually a multi-chrome. This is like a pink, like silver shift. So I'm putting that right there. That's beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Wow. And actually, so I'm going to tell you guys, this palette is the least favorite of the three palettes that I did. Just because all the pinks in the palettes were like very similar, as you can tell. Like all the pink shades were extremely similar looking. So I kind of had trouble with that. I love this dark pink, by the way. This gives me like Pat McGrath Divine Rose 2 vibes, like that pink. This formula is great, but all of these pinks were pretty similar. So I think the pink palette is probably my least favorite out of the three in terms of like creativity and it being like, I don't know, like inspiring, and being able to create like multiple different looks with it. I still like it. I think it's a pretty good like everyday palette with pops of color, but yeah, it's a little less inspiring than the other two that I will show you. Okay, as you can see, the mattes for me are not working as well as the shimmers. Like, I think this matte formula is good. It seems buildable. It's very like buttery, but as you can tell, it's not as like pigmented right away as I maybe would like it to be. These shimmers are to die for though. Like, these palettes are worth it just for these shimmers. Like, look at that. But as you can see, like the mattes are not lasting very long. Like, they're not really lasting beyond just like the top of the swipe. So I don't know how to feel about that. Okay, ooh, this one is a little chunky. Like, ooh, okay. Wow, that is beautiful. That like peachy orange shimmer. I don't think I actually have something quite like that in my collection. Like, peaches are pretty hard to find, I think, like peach shimmers. So yeah, I don't really have anything quite like that in my collection, and I really love that. Like, that could go so well with all of these other shimmers as like, I don't know, like a lid color, and you can use the pink as like an inner corner color or vice versa. Like, it's just such a versatile color that I think just elevates this palette. So, okay, we have two more in the bottom row. We've got this matte. Okay, that's the best matte so far. The other two mattes were not happening for me. They were a little light, but this matte is probably the best one so far. So that's like a dark brown matte. It looks a little purple on camera, but it's definitely like a true like dark brown as far as I can tell. Yeah. But it's a little more cool toned. So yeah, and I like that actually. I am a fan of mixing cool tones and warm tones sometimes. I prefer warm tones to cool tones, but yeah, I like having that cool tone brown in there. Like this and this, I can already see like a really cool look. Like this and this hot pink, like that's a great look. So I really like that. And then this last color is a shimmer, another hot pink shimmer. Okay, so this is the swatch of the palette that I created. This is the new and improved On the Horizon palette. Some of the other colors in the other palettes are not as similar as this. But yeah, it was just hard to work with because all of the palettes had so many pinks and they were all pretty much the same. So yeah, so this is the palette. Let me know what you think compared to the original, which is up here. But I really like it. I think the shimmer formula is definitely better than the matte formula. So yeah, I really like this. Okay, so the next palette I'm gonna do is the all green palette. So this is the new and improved Radiant Reflection. I really liked the original Radiant Reflection the best because it had all of the kind of bright jewel tones in it. I wanted something a little bit more versatile. So this is the old Radiant Reflection up here with all the bright jewel tone shimmers in it. And this is my redone version of the Radiant Reflection palette. As you can see, it's no longer as radiant, but it is a green palette. And I love green eyeshadows. I love green palettes. So I'm really excited about this. This shimmer and this shimmer kind of look the same to me at first glance, but I think besides that, there aren't very many similar shades in this palette. I tried to make it a little bit more cool toned because I do have a lot of like warm toned green palettes, so I kind of like that this is like more of like a cool toned vibe. I put some mauves in here. I have a matte black, and then I have this sort of like blue-green color, and then the rest of it are kind of like cool-toned greens. And you have a light matte, you have a mid-tone matte, and then kind of like a dark matte green, and then like a true matte black. So that's kind of like my thought process when I was putting this together. And like I said before, there were the most pinks of any color in all three of these palettes. So you'll see a couple pinks in each palette because there were like way too many pinks to put them all in one palette. But I like that too. So I think this is a lot more manageable. I think when I look at this, I see more looks than I did with the original Radiant Reflection. So I'm going to swatch this for you guys as well. So like I said, I'm going to do the top row first and then the bottom row. And I'm not really bothering with shade names because like none of these are the same shade name as what was in the palette. Ooh, okay, so this is the first shimmer. It's like a mint green shimmer. And this is like really nice. I really enjoy this. Wow. Okay, yeah, I really like that color. Yeah, that's a really cute color. And like looking at it in person, it actually looks more like turquoise too than green. So I really like that. Okay, the second color is like this dark blue matte. It's like a blue green, but it actually looks a little more blue to me, but I like that. Blue and green is one of my favorite combinations. So yeah, this is really, really pretty. And you can see like in the pan, ooh, like this is the shade that I just swatched. It looks a little more green, but then when you put it on your skin, it's like more dark blue. Okay. This, beautiful. That is a beautiful swatch. And this is like a mauve pink, like I said. I really, really like that. And like just with these three colors, I can see so many looks. Like, yeah, this is like a very inspiring story to me already. Okay, this is another shimmer, a green shimmer. Okay. So now that I have this shimmer, like you can see this one is more blue for sure. Like this is more blue leaning, and this one is like more of like a true green shimmer. Yeah, so I really like that I have both of those in there, and you can see like just with these four tones, you can see kind of like different versatile looks. Okay, continuing on with the first row. Interesting. Okay, so this in person, so on camera you can't really see the difference, but this is a more like chunky turquoise, like a bright turquoise texture. This is like a more bright green texture, like kind of like what is actually in the Radiant Reflection, like a bright green. And then this is more of like a olive green, like it's like somewhere between, like it's like a muted seafoam green. That's kind of how I would put that. But I don't know if you can tell, but those are three very different shades of green. And I really, really like this one a lot. Because it's just so different. Like it's very unique. It's very cool toned. So yeah, I really like that. And then the last shade in the top row is this matte black. So yeah, so this is the first row. And like I said, like these palettes are shimmer heavy for sure. But these shimmers are really high quality. Like I said, like these shimmers are what I would buy the palette for. So yeah, this is the first row. Yeah, very, very pretty. Like you see more blue and some green and a pink. And then the bottom row, let's start. This is the first shade in the bottom row. It's like a reflective pink shimmer. And like, so you can see that that pink shimmer is different than this one. This is like more of a dark color, and this is like a very shiny, like almost like an inner corner highlight. So I really like that. And then this is like a kind of like a brown mauve sort of matte. And then let's do, ooh, this one is like a nice dark green. I'm very excited about this shimmer in particular. Wow. Yeah, that is good. This shimmer is very similar to this shimmer actually. They are almost the same color, except I think this one has more of like a chunky, flaky texture. You can see it's like kind of flaking on my arm, but this one is a lot more like smooth and like firm. So I think it's just kind of two textures of like a similar color. If I had to say, like, I think this one is a little bit brighter, like just a little bit more of like a bright turquoise, and this one is a little darker, but those two are pretty similar. Okay, and then this is like, ooh, this felt so nice, like very buttery. Also, you can see the mattes in this palette are better than the mattes in the first palette, I think. Like, these mattes feel better. Like, these green mattes feel better than the, like, pink mattes. And that's, like, a light green matte. I think that goes really well with this shimmer that I've talked about. It's kind of like a light green, like, olivey color. I think those are, like, almost, like, a pretty exact match. This is another matte. Here. Okay, so this matte is like pretty much the same as this matte, except this one is a tad bit lighter. This is like a tad bit lighter blue. It's like a more dark blue. And I think if you built it up, you'd be able to see that more. Okay, and then the last shade in the palette is this blue, like gunmetal color. Ooh, yeah, that is a really nice shimmer. I really like that. Okay, so this is my version of the Radiant Reflection palette. And I love this. I really do. Like, it has like, it's like a fully cool toned blue-green mauve palette. And I don't think I've seen anything like this, like that I could buy like this. So I'm really glad that I created this because this is so inspiring to me. Just looking at this, like you could go in a more blue direction, you could go in a kind of like a pink direction, you could go in a green direction, you could mix them all together and they look beautiful, like just these three shades next to each other. You can see how well they go together, like these three shades next to each other, you can see like how much this would work. Like I just feel very inspired by this, and yeah. So this is my version of the Radiant Reflection. Okay. And now for the last palette. I think the last palette is my favorite to like look at. I'm not sure how it'll swatch. Like, so these are my first swatches of any of these palettes after I created them. So I'm not sure exactly how it'll swatch, but so this last palette is my kind of like purple dark blue palette. So this is like a very like, what is it? Like, I think this palette fits the theme of this collection the most, which is like outer space, like interstellar vibes. So I'm very excited about this. So let me show you. This is the Quintessence palette. And here is the original Quintessence up here, and like, it's not that inspiring. I didn't really like this. I think On the Horizon was my least favorite when I looked at all of them at the beginning, but Quintessence was also not my favorite. Like, I just didn't find very much inspiration in this. So, okay, so that's the old Quintessence, and drum roll at this point, this is the new Quintessence. And this to me fits the like alien outer space vibes the most. I really love what this looks like and how this came out. So in this palette, you see we have blues, like some bright blues. We have this like kind of chunky, like glittery formula blue. This and this looks somewhat similar, but this is like more of like a navy blue shimmer, and this is like a purple shimmer. We have like a royal blue, and then we have this like purple blue multi-chrome almost, which is like kind of has like a shift in there. And then it's like almost a periwinkle actually, like now that I'm like looking down at it. I put this kind of like mid-toned kind of like amber color in here just as kind of like a pop to contrast with some of the rest of these. Like, you can totally see how like putting this and this together would be a cute look. Like, this and this would be a completely different direction, but still a cute look. And then I put this silver shimmer in here as an inner corner. Like silver just goes with this theme to me. There's a gray matte in here, kind of like a transition shade matte. And then we have this like dark navy matte. And then I have this kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, like a cool toned, like, gold, not even gold, it's not gold, it's like a cool tone, like neutral matte, basically. So yeah, so this is my reformulated palette, and here are the swatches. So I'm gonna start with the first row. Here is the first shade. That is stunning. That's like a stunning purple. Yeah, I really like that. And I'm very like, sorry if I'm like at a loss for words, it's because this is the first time I've swatched these palettes. So I'm like taking it all in with you guys. So, okay. This is the matte that was next to it. This is like a brown matte. This is like thin. This reminds me of like the matte in the pink palette, where it's pretty thin. It seems buildable though. It's like, I think it's supposed to be a transition shade, so it's more of like a I don't know how to describe it, like a cool toned, like gray brown, kind of looks mauvey. Okay, this is like the royal blue shimmer. Okay, very, very stunning. Like, you can see the difference. This is more like blue purple, like this leans more navy, and this is like more like electric blue. Yeah, whereas this is more like blueberry color. Okay, so the next one is this like flaky formula that I talked about. So yeah, this is chunky, of course, like you can see the chunks at the top. But yeah, this is like the color. It's brighter than the one next to it, even brighter. So like now you see, like putting this one next to this makes this one look dull in comparison because this one is so reflective. But this is more of a true blue. And I really like this shade. Like, I'm staring at it because I've never seen a shade quite like this in my collection. Yeah, it's very inspiring. It almost reminds me of like a periwinkle, but it's not. I don't know how to describe it, but it's really, really unique and pretty. Like, all four of these are very unique, actually. Okay. And then we've got this, which is an even more like true navy shimmer compared to this one. This one's more like purple than this one, but this one is still more navy than this one. And actually, now that I'm looking at this one, it kind of has like a pink undertone, and this one is more like a true blue with like a silver undertone. So yeah, these are okay. And then this is the last swatch of the first row, which is like this. It's like a sky blue swatch. Yeah, and that is just, I mean, yeah, come on. that is perfect. That's just beautiful. And you can see like this one it could be considered a similar color, but it's such a different texture. It's like flaky and chunky, whereas this one is like smooth and like buttery. Yeah. This is so pretty, guys. Like, I love this. I love this vibe. Like, if I wanted to look like an alien, like, I would pull out this palette particularly. Okay. So this is the first row. And now we're going to do the second row, which has more of the mattes. So this is a matte, like a dark matte. Okay. And then spoiler, this palette is the one that I originally had the matte black in, but I changed it to the green palette because like smoky green eyes are such a good vibe that I was like, I need like a super dark matte. I want the matte black in the green palette. So this is the darkest matte in this palette, is like this one. But I actually don't find that to be a problem because these shimmers are so dark that I actually feel like going too dark on the mattes too is like too much. It's like, yeah, it's like an aggressive amount of dark eyeshadow. So I like that this is the darkest the mattes go, and it kind of lets the shimmers like steal the show. So I really like this. And this is like similar to the one in the green palette. This is like kind of like a blue, like a, how do I describe this color? It's not navy, it's like, I don't know, I can't describe it actually. It's like grunge blue. That's my description. Okay. And this is the next shade. Yes, that's beautiful. I mean, like, come on. This is like, yeah, this is the neutral kind of shimmer in this palette, and I love that. Like, just adding that into this series, like, elevates this. Like, this can be used in so many different ways. Like, half of your lid could be this, and half of your lid could be one of these. And I just think that, like, elevates the look so much. So that's beautiful. And it turns a look using this palette into, like, a wearable look. You know, like, something with, like, this and maybe, like, this blue shimmer. Like, that's really wearable, and you can just go to work or go anywhere with that. So, yeah, I like that. And then here's another matte. This is a pretty dark matte as well, but it's more gray, so I'm interested to see what this looks like on my arm. Okay, interesting. Okay, well, that's actually leaning more green now that I'm looking at it, but it goes with this one. They're a little too similar, actually, for my taste, but I think it still works. It still goes with it. So that's okay to me. But I was actually hoping that that one would be a little more true gray. It actually is. It's more gray than this one. It's more gray than this one, but it's still not gray enough. So I'm a little disappointed that one's not gray, but I don't mind because actually I have this palette, which is like the Natasha Denona Xenon palette, which I could totally, like, easily pull into this, to look at. So, okay. The next shade is the silver color. Oh, and I love that. I love that. And even just like the silver with this like neutral shimmer is such a nice, like, everyday cool toned neutral look. And I love that for this palette. Okay, and then a couple more shades left. This one, which is like multi-chrome. So this is like pink, purple, blue shift. And I love that. It's similar to this one, but different. You can see how different it is. Like, yeah, moving it. Yeah, you can see, like, it's a shift. It's like a true shifty shade. And then the last shade in this palette is this. And this, I think, just brings it home. Like, this brings it all together for me. Yeah, like, that to me now, it's a complete palette. Like, you can take it so many different directions because of this mid-toned, like, pink shade. You can go pink with, like, the more purple shade. You can go pink with this shifty shade. You can go pink with these, like, silver neutral shades. You can just, yeah, you can just do so much with this now. So that is the finished Quintessence palette. Very, very stunning, I think. At least to me. I mean, you might not agree, and that's totally, totally fine. But this is a lot more inspiring to me now than it was in the original palettes. So, like, I'm showing you the originals again. They're up here. Yeah, like, this is so much better to me. Because when I look at this, I see something, like, cohesive. I see quads that can be looks. I see, like, I can just see it. I see a vision. Whereas with these, it was, like, all three palettes are the same. Like, if I looked at this, I wouldn't know, like, if I wouldn't be like, oh, like, I need the Quintessence palette specifically for this occasion. I need, like, the Radiant Reflection palette specifically. But the way I arrange them, I think, makes it so that, like, each palette is now distinct. And, like, I would know, like, okay, this kind of look, I need to pull this specific palette. Whereas before, it would be like, oh, I want to do, like, a generic look, I need to pull this entire collection because it's all the same and I don't remember what the difference between the 3 palettes is. So I like this organization a lot better. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think of my depot and rearrangement of these palettes, if you think they are, you know, good, bad, if you would have done something differently, if you guys rearranged them yourselves and kind of did it a different way. Like, I would love to see that and hear that and be inspired by that. So yeah, let me know what you thought of my reformulation of this collection. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe to my channel. You know, every single kind of interaction with my content means so much. So thank you. The link to subscribe is right there. And you can click on some of my other videos over here.